Starting out of that press conference, some breaking news is coming in on CNN News 18. Now, amid the hijab hearing in the Supreme Court, the Solicitor General has told the court that in 2022, a movement was started by the Popular Front of India on social media to start wearing hijab. It is not a spontaneous act of some students. The students, in fact, were a part of a larger conspiracy. That is being alleged by the Solicitor General. In fact, the students were acting on instructions and on the behest of PFI. My colleague Ananya is joining us for more details. Ananya, this is coming out of the court at the moment. Of course, the PFI angle has been brought to fore. Just take us through all that is ensuing.
Well, definitely. Remember that after Mr. Dave and the petitioners have concluded their arguments, the Solicitor General of India began the arguments on the side of the government. Constantly it is being argued by Solicitor General Tushar Mehta that it was not the government which was preventing the minorities, but then it had to come in after agitations had erupted in the state of Karnataka over the hijab issue. In fact, he also goes on to say that since 2004 to 2013, there has been a dress code in the government PUCs, and until the December 2021, there were no agitations with regards to hijab. And after PFI actually started a social media movement about hijab to create unrest in the society, these agitations actually began, and the situation worsened in the beginning of 2022, and the government had to come in with this particular order banning hijab or any kind of religious attires inside the school. He also goes on to say that it is not just one community that is being prevented. People who are coming with saffron shawls are also prevented by this particular order, the GO that has been passed out by, in fact, the Karnataka government. And the High Court order too is not limited to the fact of hijabs, but also for other religions as well. So this is what the Solicitor General is constantly arguing before the topmost court of the country. Remember that he has already clarified that brief submissions would be given out from the part of the government. He would be arguing, Karnataka AG Mr. Prabhuling Navadgi would be arguing next, and Mr. K.M. Nataraj would be taking the court on the aspect of whether the matter should go before a constitutional bench, a larger bench, or not. So this brief submissions would be given out by the government of Karnataka with respect to the appeals that have been filed challenging the Karnataka High Court order banning hijab and any kind of religious attires inside educational institutions. Griha.
All right. Ananya, stay on with me. I'm also now joined on the broadcast by Mr. Manish Upadhyay. Mr. Manish Upadhyay, what do you make of this argument, that has been actually put forth in court? In fact, I'm joined on the broadcast by my colleague Harish. Harish, the fact that this is an argument that has been made by the Solicitor General talking about the PFI angle in this particular case, of course, this is something that the state of Karnataka and the campus politics that the state has seen, which is very evident when this controversy really started. Whether it is about the saffron scarves or about the hijab, the campus politics was at the fore. So this is something that is taking the argument back to where everything started from.
Absolutely. And it's a continuation of the submissions made by Karnataka government in front of the Karnataka High Court. Remember, there was a sealed secret report that was submitted to the court as well. In that particular report, the government had spoken about unseen hands being behind this particular episode that took place. The government wasn't willing to believe that this was a spontaneous protest. The government always maintained that there were individuals and organizations who staged this protest, who provoked these students, and that's why there were protests at multiple places. And they also established a sequence of events that happened. In fact, CNN News 18 back then had exclusively accessed one of the reports that was submitted to the government, which spoke about how these students had attended a ABVP protest, and thereon the CFI got involved and had spoken to the parents of these students. And it was only much later in November that the hijab controversy started, and finally it became a huge controversy by the end of December. So that entire timeline too was informed to the court, and this is something that the court had taken note of as well. And now similar arguments being put forth by the Karnataka government to convince the court that this is not a spontaneous protest. This wasn't a spontaneous demand. It was more of a conspiracy that's playing out here, and it's few individuals, organizations coming together to make this an issue. It's not a demand that has come from across colleges in Karnataka.
So, Harish, essentially this is about confrontation that emanated from the campuses in Karnataka, which of course led to where the protest is at the moment. And this is what probably has been brought to fore by the Solicitor General of the country as well. The PFI angle specifically speaks volumes because of the kind of outrage that the hijab controversy has seen in Karnataka as well.
Absolutely. And the involvement of CFI, which is seen largely as affiliate organization of the PFI in this controversy, has been very clear. In fact, the government saying that members of CFI met the parents of these students much before these students officially objected and demanded that they be allowed to wear hijab. So that entire episode has been put forth before the court to say that CFI was actively involved, and some of the PFI leaders.
And I remember, Harish, when all those protests, the hijab protests had broken out in the state of Karnataka and multiple districts, we had also put out that exclusive intelligence report that had pointed out to the involvement of the PFI. And those similar arguments are being echoed at the top court of the country by none other than Solicitor General Mr. Tushar Mehta. I'm also cutting across to Mr. S. Prakash of the BJP, who's with us on the broadcast. Mr. Prakash, not the first time that the organization like PFI is being known for its notorious activities. I think the million-dollar question before the state government and the union government is, what are you going to do against this organization?
No, actually, the Karnataka government is demanding a ban on PFI organization. However, the call has to be taken by the central government after going through all the records and the evidences available with them. Any haste in regards to banning those organizations would only be nullified in the higher court, what happened in the Jharkhand case. So otherwise also, these elements, today they call themselves a PFI. Tomorrow they may call them by HFI. Some other name they take, and they continue with their divisive activity and terror-related activities. And the government, if they want to crush these elements, they must take a very strong stand and cut the elements who are disturbing the peace in the society. And with regards to the hijab issue, the Campus Front of India, an offshoot of PFI, is responsible for creating controversy.
But Mr. Prakash, there are enough laws in this country to take action against individuals and organizations which indulge in these kind of alleged activities. That's what the government is saying. More importantly, I mean, the government can't get away simply by saying that if we ban this organization, someone else will really come up. You need to crack down on such elements. I'll come back to you, Mr. Varis Pathan from the AIMI.